I just put myself under massive pressure. I had some family issues as well, things that's going on in life, just a combination of loads of things. And I didn't sleep for about 2 weeks, and then I got sectioned under Mental Health Act. They diagnosed me with drug-induced psychosis because I said I smoked weed. Earning money again, so then about 32, I bought my first property, and I bought a piece of land. It was the first deal I ever done. So
this was at 32.
It lost me a ton of money, and it sidetracked me like from doing what I was doing. And then I nearly had another burnout again. So because I wasn't sleeping correctly, I was in a big hole. So I went into about 30, 40 grand like debt.
Thanks for tuning in again. My name's Alf.
I'm Alex.
This is the Top Tier Podcast. Today we've got a very, very special guest, HarveyGrowthProperties. How are you today, bro?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for the nice intro.
Welcome. So, Harvey, I've done a bit of background about you.
Okay,
I know
cool.
that you do a lot in properties.
Yep.
For the start, I just want to know backstory. Just want to know where did it all start from? Where's the interest came from?
What, in property or in business? Or
Just in business, just
Yeah.
in general, from the beginning.
So from the beginning, let me try and
Yeah,
narrow this down.
bring it
'cause
back
it's
down.
quite-
For example,
yes.
where did you grow up? You
Yes.
know, let's go right to the genesis
start.
of Harvey.
Fundamentals.
Yeah.
So
right
not
to
far
the
from me. I was
genesis.
born in Stratford.
Yep.
But then from the age of 6, we moved to a little village, Aveley, still on the inside of the M25, but it's literally the first place that classes as Essex now. So most of my growing up was in Aveley, so from the age of 6. So I can't really remember much before that, but from the age of 6, sort of from Aveley. But from young, left. My mum left my dad. Never met my dad. Can't really remember him. I was too young when she left him, so can't remember him. And we moved from a multicultural place. But you've got to imagine this. So I'm mixed race. My dad's Black Caribbean, and my mum's white. So then we've moved out. My nan moved out of London first. My mum's followed to where she moved to. So now I've landed in this little village in the 1980s, which has got no black faces in there whatsoever. I'm living and growing up with a white family, which is a white cultural family. My mum don't really know the black background cultural. So as a kid, super confusing. It's like, wow, I look more black than I look white, especially then before my hair was going like that. I had an afro, and I was like, shit, I'm out of place. But I just got on with it anyway. So from young, we moved out. My mum's a single mum, council estate, typical sort of scenario like that. So we didn't have an abundance of money. But from young, I always had a desire around money. This is, for me, I think that is the biggest thing you can install into anybody. If you've got desire, you'll find a way. If the desire is there, you'll find a way. And it's not about talent. I was never talented. I was a bit dyslexic and didn't leave school. But my first spark of entrepreneurship must have come when I must have been around 10, something like that. And it wasn't the normal one, sweets and stuff like that. It was BMXs. So when I was a kid in the 1980s, there's a film called BMX Bandits. And on that BMX Bandits, it was BMX parts and good BMXs. And my mum bought me this bike. I'll send you a picture of it because you might be able to put it in. It was like a girl's.
On that.
Yeah, it was like it was a golden girl's little looking bike. And I was like,
Hey.
Mum, I've got enough attention on me already, kind of thing. I didn't actually say that, but looking back, I must be thinking shit, I already stand out. Sorry to swear, but I already stand out. I don't need to be another target. But anyway, I just learnt to because bikes, you can take them apart and stuff like that. And I remember going over, we get everything from boot sales and second hand. Still got that in me now. If I can find something second hand, I'll buy it second hand rather than new. But we went to the boot sale, and this guy had all these BMX parts, like rail wheels, skyways, these sunbeam stems, and these was all the parts that I knew was good. But obviously this guy must have done a garage clearance and didn't know what they was. So he had them for sale, 50p, 20p. And from young, I used to save my 5p's. When the new 5p come out, I used to save every 5p because it was enough to build up to £1 pretty quickly because pennies took too long to save. Okay. It wasn't enough for me to miss not spending. So a 20p, 50p I'd want to spend. I couldn't save them, but the 5s I'd save. So I got my money and I was like, okay, let me go and buy some of these bits. So then I buy these bits for 20p, 30p and then go and trade them for £3, £4, £5. And then the money come back, bought all the stuff from him and traded it on. So then I built my own bike out of these trading stuff and started going kind of thing. So that was my first sort of spark of entrepreneurship. And I said I must have been about 10, I'd say.
And when did you learn to build that bike? How did you learn it?
Just try and error. Kids, friends. One of my friends' brothers was really into BMXing. He's a bit older, so we just go. I just watched, quite a shy kid. I'm quite introverted anyway. If you get me around business people and talk about things I get excited about, my excitement overrules my introversy.
Yeah.
But if you put me in a room just people talking about football and sports and stuff like that. Like, I'm quite introverted, so I used to just sit there and watch and just see what people do, and just thought I could do that. And just went home and just tried it, you know.
Okay. Nice.
So school-wise, how were you in school?
Adventurous is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Mischievous. I enjoyed a little bit of adventure, and then also I learned from a young age. When as I said, there was one other black kid which I'm friends with still to this day, St. Lucian kid in Averley. But I learned as well, there's the kids over here. If you're friends with them, you're probably not going to get as much hassle as if you're not friends with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But number one, I'm not going to lie, I naturally navigated towards that a little bit. I just found it exciting, just doing exciting things.
Yeah.
We was never, I've done a few things in my past that I'm not proud of, like anybody does. I didn't get everything right. But when I look back at it, I realised that really wasn't me. That was the environment I was in.
Yeah.
But in general, I did get quite excited around being around sort of just naughtiness. So I was a little bit naughty in school. Didn't finish school. I left school with no GCSEs, no anything.
Okay, and then after that, you just decided to just go straight into work?
No, I've never really worked. So I've had a few jobs. Like I've had probably 4 or 5 jobs, and all of them last about 3 months. It used to get to a 3-month period, and I used to go, I can't do this. I used to go, like, sometimes I wouldn't have no other option. I'd be like, just go, like, and just hustle.
Yeah.
I got in and out of trouble a little bit as a kid, hustling a little bit, nothing sort of major, like nothing. I wasn't like a pimp or heroin dealer or anything like that.
Okay.
But I got caught with some weed, hence the name of my company. There's a little tongue-in-cheek joke behind that. But
Oh my days, I just realised.
Do you know what? Have you ever mentioned that's a bit of the tongue-in-cheek joke behind it?
yeah, a couple of times here and
Okay,
there. Like,
interesting.
a couple of times, not loads. Joe probably a little bit more of my wife. She was she's very university, straight-laced
Right,
background
right.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, but I mention it more because I think it's my background, it's my story. I'm not unproud of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like I used to smoke weed heavily when I was a kid.
Okay.
Not unproud of that either. I think weed is very much like alcohol. I abused it, and I had some repercussions of abusing it.
Yeah.
But if you smoke, I think weed should be legal. I don't think it's a great thing, but I don't think it's something that should be illegal. Like, and if you manage it correctly, it's fine. It's actually quite a decentish sort of drug. But like anything, if you abuse alcohol or you abuse prescription drugs, it's then no good for you, you know. So I've got no qualms about my background, and I got arrested for it, so I paid my sort of.
And do you know
penalties.
what? I really respect you for that, because, you know, everything you do in life, whatever experience it is, I don't think anything is necessarily good or bad. It's an experience that shapes you and you learn. You know, for example, if you say excess alcohol, excess smoking of weed, you know already, okay, this might make me very lethargic. and practically, okay, if I'm doing A, B, C, and D, I'm trying to stay busy, I'm trying to stay proactive, I'm building a business. Okay, this might slow me down a little bit. So logically, let's park it, you know. But it's only that experience where you'll know, because there are people who maybe will dabble in that at the later stages of their life, not knowing and understanding what they're walking into.
And also to double down on that as well, you're going to have more commitments at a later stage in life. So that means you're going to have more responsibilities, which means that the risk is even higher when you start to dabble in that at later points in life as well.
Oh, absolutely. But that is absolutely spot on as well. I heard Samuel Leeds say on Jackie Brown, he said, weed robs you of your ambition. And without question with that. So I went from doing BMX parts, and when we was young as well, we used to, like, we was all DJing, we got some Technics, and again, I just traded and got myself a set of Technics. My mum could never afford that. I traded them in and out, got some Technics, and we used to do parties. It was jungle music back then, and we used to do parties. And I used to get my friends' mums and dads to hire halls for me, because we couldn't obviously go in there and hire them. And we used to make, back then, we used to think, how can we make the tickets up? So the youth club we had then had one of these laminators. Like, this stuff wasn't ready available. So I was like, going to youth clubs, do us a favour, can I laminate these tickets so people can't copy them? And I got I remember getting my my sister's boyfriend at the time, he was a good artist, get him to draw like the things for the tickets. We designed it. I got a couple of elder kids to come on, brought them in on the venture, because I just knew that is protect, like, because we was in quite a rough area as well. Like, there was quite a lot of you are a product of your environment, so a lot of my background was a case of, like, everybody around us was kind of doing that sort of stuff. But there was quite a lot of rough kids as well. So I was like, let me bring a couple of kids in and bring them in on this. And I remember sort of that's when I left school. At 15, we'd done this party, and I remember earning probably, can't remember how much it was, but bearing in mind with inflation, I'm 45 now, so it's a long while ago. At 15, sort of 30 years ago, must have earned about £300 or £400 in one night, just my cut. And I paid everybody else as well. Everybody got paid. And it was like, wow.
A lot of money back then as well.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. I was like, wow, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to school anymore. Enough of this. I'm leaving school. Yeah. And all some of my elder friends was going, nah, man, you got to do your school. And I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm going to earn money. I can do this kind of thing.
Nice. So at what point, so let's fast forward a little bit. So at what point did you kind of like had that fork in the road where you said, right, let me just be more productive? Like, what age would you say that you would have gone through that?
Yeah, so the typical journey of I never really, even all my friends, everybody got smoking weed and doing drugs and acid, and I toyed with it a little bit because it's the environment.
Yeah.
But I realised I've got a really active mind. So I was like, every time I used to mess around with drugs, I was like, my mind don't really like this, and I've done it because it's like you're part of the crowd, but never really got into it. And then typically, when I was a kid as well, it used to be just like bushweed and like puff, like solid puff. The skunk weed wasn't around. Then when I was about, I think it must have been about 17, skunks started coming around, like the really heavier weed, and it's just nice. It's more addictive as well, by the way. And I didn't really smoke. I could really dip in and out of it. All my friends did, and I dipped in and out of it. And I split up with a girl, typical story, split up with a girl, feeling a bit down, and really just turned to smoking.
Get back to it again.
Started smoking. I went from, because we used to do things like this when we was young. We used to go down to, there's some older guys as well in our areas, and they'd pay us because we had driving license. As soon as we were 17, we'd go with a van down to Dover, go across the crossing, go across the other side. Back then, it was a big difference in the price of cigarettes and alcohol. Fill the van up, come back, and just have a few £1,000. And you'd get credit from people that was older who had the money to front, you'd fill up, I can't remember what the price was, but 10, 20 grand worth of cigarettes and alcohol in the back of a van. So you do a run and earn yourself a good money from the back of that. And I could get involved with these people at quite an early age. And then as soon as I started smoking, I was ticking weed off, I just got in debt with everybody. It just lost my ambition.
Right.
And it did make me, as much as I kind of didn't want to admit at the time, it did make me a little bit more paranoid and overthink things. And for me now, it's like, look, I actually enjoy weed. I like weed, but I don't like the effects it has. Yeah. And the trade-off is not worth the enjoyment of what I get from entrepreneurship. Similar to alcohol, I started drinking alcohol every day as well. When I give up weed, I started drinking alcohol every day. And similar again, I enjoy alcohol, but I don't enjoy the after effects.
Yeah.
If I drink alcohol every day, even if it's moderate, it just compounds on me. It starts to make me feel more anxious, and then I don't want to make the phone calls. I don't want to do the awkward conversations with team members. And I'm like, look, as much as I enjoy that, do I enjoy that in exchange of what I enjoy over here? And the answer is no. So I moderate it, and I know my boundaries with it. Do I get that perfect all the time? No.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm aware when I'm not getting it perfect.
Do you know what? I think that is great. You articulate it very well, because even when you look at these things, these vices, are they enjoyable? Yes, absolutely. Same. Enjoy them myself. But then now it's a logical thing, which you just said. Okay, does this help me to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? And then I think this goes across any field anyone's in, whatever you're doing. If you want to get somewhere, you might have things that you enjoy doing, but you're going to have to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
You're going to have to sacrifice. Even if you enjoy something, if it's counterproductive to where you're going, you're going to have to make a trade-off. What do you really want? So I think you've broken that down very nicely for the audience.
And it seems that, based on what I've just heard, it's that the entrepreneurship, that's like your new drug in a way. That's like your new vice.
It always was.
Yeah.
So before when all my friends was messing around smoking and stuff like that, that's exactly, I was interested in earning money. But I was always interested in bringing everybody on as well. I was like, every time I found a money earner thing, I was like, okay, look, everybody do this. Like, why are you not doing this? And it's probably because I was all smoking, I wasn't at the time. But then I got caught into the weed, and I realised a little period of time, where it just hit me heavy. And then I give up, and when I give up smoking weed, I realised I was like, this is robbing me of my ambition. I need to stop. And I stopped instantly. But I was using it as like a sleeping aid as well.
All right.
Just to sleep. So every night I'd have a joint before I went to bed just to get sleep. And then one day I was like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of being skinned. I've had enough of not having no motivation. I'm stopping. And I just stubbornly just went, stop. But I stopped too quick. I had a few other things going on in life as well at the same time. But then I took on a few business ventures, which was a bit above my station. It was around a few people that was quite, how do I word them? Like, without incriminating anybody, but quite kind of criminal type people.
Okay.
And I wasn't doing nothing particularly too bad, but these were quite heavy type people because I could see I could earn money.
Okay.
So I got myself in quite deep with some people that was not too friendly. If you,
What age? What age group were you at that point?
must have been about 21.
Okay.
So from 18 to 21, I just had a void period. I went from being a really good little earner from young, doing parties, earning £400-500 a night.
Yeah.
I see this cycle as well. Success is ultimately your biggest threat to future success sometimes because it goes to your head. It went to my head. I thought I was the don there. I thought I was the man. And I end up... I went from having hardly anything to being one who had more than anything than all my friends, even the friends who were spoilt and rich kids. So then it went to my head and I started using my position like I've read a book by a guy called John Maxwell. He calls it 5 levels of leadership. And he said, level 1 of leadership is when you use your position for people to follow you. Because I had opportunity, because I had money, people would follow and listen to me just because of my opportunity. And that went to my head and I abused that at the time. But looking back in awareness, I'm now... The only reason a lot of them followed and listened to me is because of my position. They wanted in. Yeah. And that was it, you know? So I don't... Like the best level of leadership is when people follow you because they bought into your desire and what you want to do. And of course, if money's part of that, great, but they bought into it and not just listening to you just because they want a paycheck. It's because they bought into your journey kind of thing. And I learned that quite early, but I went from, how I learned that was because I went from having money and being in that position to having no money. And everybody was like, yeah, fuck you now.
They all vanish, don't they? They all vanish.
Yeah, we've actually spoken about this. We call it like the first run.
Yeah.
Like you get your first run of money, and then it kind of goes to your head, and then you have like a situation that might happen, and then you have to start from scratch, and then that kind of humbles you, and then you have to go and build yourself up again from that point.
But it's hard though. We're emotional beings. Everything we do is emotionally, and like. What I had to do, so again, going through that journey, about 21, I stopped smoking weed instantly. Started going out trying to earn money. I took something on far too big than I should have took on. Yeah. And I just put myself under massive pressure. I had some family issues as well, things that's going on in life, just a combination of loads of things. And I didn't sleep for about 2 weeks. And then I got sectioned under the Mental Health Act. I just got took away by the police. Wow, okay. Proper section.
And sorry, what age was this?
21.
At 21, okay.
Yeah,
so you're relatively young.
Yeah, so really section as well. And they diagnosed me with drug-induced psychosis because I said I smoked weed. And look, we definitely had a contributor towards it, but it wasn't the thing that triggered it there and then. The main thing that triggered it was sleep deprivation. Yeah. So obviously the reason I had sleep deprivation was because I smoked weed so much as a sleeper, and I didn't graduate myself off it. I give it up too quick, but I also give it up alongside taking on a lot of pressure. I had loads of little issues from, as I said, growing up, not knowing my dad, like not knowing my black heritage, loads of these things, like moving to an area where it was predominantly white, you know, it's just, I had a combination. It wasn't one thing, but the biggest one thing off the back of that was the sleep. So as soon as I didn't sleep for a period of time, all these things come to the top and exploded kind of thing. So yeah, I got sectioned at 21, got myself better. I went from being, again, I was earning at this time again, and this is when Thailand, everybody's first started going to Thailand, going abroad, was bringing stuff, like bringing in the DVDs. So again, it wasn't full on illegal, but it wasn't full on like taxpayers. Stuff. I've got no qualms about it. I've been arrested for all this sort of stuff, so I paid my dues and my penalties, so I don't mind sharing it. Yeah. But yeah, around the time, I started earning again, got myself back to normal, but I went from being a decent sort of earner because I stopped smoking weed to then all of a sudden having this major sort of like, people call them breakdowns, people call them burnouts, call it whatever you like. I went fucking mad. You know? Like, my head went completely mad. Like it was psychotic. So they like to seduce me with loads of these really powerful drugs. Yeah. So I went from a really high episode, they call them, to being like and psychotic and manic to being really, really low and couldn't even speak to my friends on the phone. I just went back to live with my mum in a box room and just didn't speak to anybody for 18 months. And then slowly recovered myself, massively embarrassed at the time, didn't like talking about it at the time, it's just embarrassing. And then it went again. So I started smoking a little bit again, started getting involved with things again, and similar again, I started using smoking as a sleep aid, and then I moved somewhere out of area. I remember getting a punch. I couldn't get back home to see people, couldn't trade anything. It was DVDs at the time. Couldn't get back, ran out of money, couldn't sleep for about 4 or 5 days, and again, my head just went boom, triggered again after no sleep. So I got sectioned the second time. So if I got sectioned the first time, out of 100, it was like 110. It was really bad.
Wow.
Like my head was completely gone. Like I was kind of hallucinating. I went in. Steve Jobs talks about it. They used to do sleep deprivation on purpose to take your mind to a place. Like your mind will release certain chemicals which like DMT, like an acid sort of style chemicals, and makes you proper trip out. Like, so I was proper tripping badly, like for about 2 weeks.
Right.
When I look back at it now, it's like quite an adventure kind of thing. Like, I can look back at it and smile, but at the time it was a strange sort of thing. But as I said, second time just recovered. Then the second time was probably a 70 out of 110. So it wasn't as bad as the first time, but still bad enough. They sectioned me again. The thing is, the drugs they give you just juice you down so much. So the second time, again, I went back to the box room, couldn't face anybody, done a typical thing, grew a massive beard. I remember the thing that triggered me out of it, the first time 18 months it took me to recover. Second time, it was about just under a year. And I remember my nephew come round. He must have been about 5 or 6 at the time, and I grew this massive beard. And he just walked in, looked at me, just laughed, just went, and that was the point. I was went, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I said to my mum, right, mum, I'm going back out. I'm going to go and just earn money out now to earn money. She said, oh, don't do it again. That's what drives you mad. I'm like, mum, I'd rather drive myself mad each time, pursuing my passions and what I want to do and being me, than sit about and just settle. Why don't you just get a normal job? I just can't. Like, that's not me. So I went out and I managed it from there onwards, and I humbled myself. I learned a little bit more about my mind and what triggered it. I realised at that point it was sleep. It wasn't like the drugs that was triggering it, drugs that contributed to it, as I said, but I realised it was more sleep. So then started just getting back on track. I went and worked. That was the last job I ever had. I went and worked with my friend as a plasterer, or my brother-in-law as a plasterer mate, and I lasted that job about 9 months. It's probably because he was a pisshead and it wasn't a proper job. Like, if I didn't turn up on the Monday, he weren't there most of the time anyway. Or I'd go to pick him up and he was just walking back from a night out anyway. So it wasn't a really strict, normal job. Like, I couldn't deal with that school and that all fair. Like, I just don't like having that over me. Although now I'm a lot more disciplined on myself, because I realised that is what gives you the freedom. So that was the last job I had. That was probably about 26. And then I started doing plastering jobs myself, earning money. Started like trying to hire some people doing that. But it was decent money, but quite stressful. Like, it was a lot. Like, it's hard dealing with plasterers, and
It's an art top.
Yeah.
That's one thing I know. That's an art.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
be a plasterer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's one of the things you can't just pick up and do straight away. It takes you a while to learn. But then I just started earning money again. So then about 32, I bought my first property, and I bought a piece of land. It was the first deal I ever done. So
Okay, and this was at 32.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So then, right. So this micromanager. So how did you even get to even buy that land? Like, in terms of like finance, like, did you save up? Or
yeah, so I had some savings. So I was doing okay. So at the time, I think I had about 25, 30 grand savings. And funny enough, my mum inherited my nan's house, and my mum put my name on the deeds. Even though I'm the youngest, she went, I want you to be my executor. When anything like that happens, I'm going to put your name on the deed straight away. And it just, against, like, my mum never really had a proper job. She was like part-time worker. She never had no real sort of pension built up. But she also knew if she owned it on her own and she had to go into care, they'd take the house and pay for it, the inheritance. So we just put my name on it to negate a lot of those things from the start, and then I can deal with that at that time when it come, kind of thing. So my name was on the house, it's unencumbered. So I said to my mum, I want to buy a house for myself. So can I release a little bit of money from the house? I had about 30k. Can I release, I think at the time I released another about 30, 40k from the house. Can I release 30 or 40k? I've got this 30k here. Yeah, it was about 40k. I had 30 and I released 40k from the house. Went to buy a residential, and something subconscious. When I look, I'm one of these people, I know I'm an emotional being, so I know my logical thinking is not in the moment of what I do things of. So I have to look back over what I've done to see what did I do and why did I do it. And I can look over it with awareness to say, where was I thinking next? I know I'm working off emotions and what was my steps. But subconsciously, I went to buy a house, got the offer accepted. I was with a girl I didn't even really get on with too well. And we wasn't living together, and miraculously we thought, if we live together we might get on better. We don't get on when we don't even live with each other, let alone being under each other's skin every day. But anyway, went to buy a house. Subconsciously I pulled out of it, and found a new house. And then on the second house, this is a residential for myself.
And what location was that?
The first one was in South Ockenden, the second one was in North Stifford. Okay. The second house I found on the day of exchange, we was just about to exchange, going all the way through, I was like, no, I can't do this. I was like, sorry, I phoned up the estate agent. Sorry, I know, look, I feel terrible and it's not right what I've done, but I'm buying this for the wrong reason. about a week after that, I split up with the girl. I said, look, it's not right. Look, what are we doing? Moving into this, it's not right. And I had this money. I always wanted to be into property. I don't know from where. My granddad always talks about bricks and mortar. Make sure you get a house, bricks and mortar. I always wanted to be in property. And at the time, I was like, I'm going to wrap myself up with the mortgage I had to pay for the 40 grand from what I borrowed against from my mum's house, and the mortgage I was going to get for the new house. The rates was high back then, so it wasn't what we've experienced. Like, this was it's about 2008, I think it was. I was about to buy this just before the crash happened.
So what's the interest rate? But
back then, there was about 5, 6, 7%. You know, they wasn't like, they're just normal rates.
Yeah,
What they've been for
rates,
ages. But so I had about 1,200. I was thinking, I earn okay, but I'm going to naturally, this is my thought process. I hadn't read any books at this stage. I was dyslexic. I couldn't read. YouTube wasn't around. There wasn't the wealth of information. But naturally in my head, I was like, if I buy this house now, I'm going to wrap myself up with £1,200 a month mortgage. That 30 grand that I've just saved, I'm not going to be able to save that 30 grand again as quickly as I've just saved it. And I was like, no, man, what am I doing? Why don't I just keep on saving how I can save? I was renting a place at the time, which was like £400 a month. So I'm going from £400 a month to £1,200 a month. Just keep on saving the extra bit of money. And this money I've got here, why don't I just start this property dream I've always had a sort of thing. So, like anybody that's inexperienced, I went to auction, found a piece of land, and my friend who I grew up with, one of my friends who I grew up with, his stepdad was the head planner in Thurrock Council.
Right.
He was also the mayor, but he was also a controversial figure. Like, he'd been in the papers a lot for conspiracy of potential backhanders.
Okay.
I don't know if he did. I'm not saying he didn't, but he was very notorious, and especially notorious. Again, where we grew up, there was some really big sort of like gangster families that moved out of East London as well. So he's very notorious being connected to these families and everything like this. But anyway, I knew him from school. So I see this piece of land, and I said to him, do you think you could get I'm going to get planning on this piece of land? And I've known him since I was a kid as well. He's like, yeah, that's a goer. Come get it. You know, so I used to play golf with him. So I used to go have golf and just picking it was genuine as well. So I was picking his brains on it. At the time, my naivety, so I went and bought the land. I went to auction, and literally, when I went to auction, I learnt this afterwards. It was on for 30 grand. He was like, 31, 30, 20, 29, 28. So he went 28, 29 and a half, 30. And as he said 30, I put my hand up, and literally, my hand wasn't even fully up. It was like, bang, go on yours. I was like, oh, wow. I sold it to the same auctioneer about 5 years later because I couldn't develop it. And he said, I remember that bit of land. It was hard to sell. What we'll do, it's called throwing bids off the wall. They're allowed to do dummy bids in the room up to the reserve price, legally.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
legally, it's called throwing the bids off the wall. So they make the bids up to get somebody going. So when somebody bid twice, I was like, oh, okay. It's first auction I'd ever been to, didn't know anything. I'd never done a refurb before. I'd never even painted a house before, let alone built a house from scratch out of the ground.
No mental either.
Huh?
No mental either.
No, didn't know about that stuff back then.
Yeah.
Didn't know the access to the books, all this stuff, information wasn't ready available as it is today. Like, there was some people around us that was kind of like mentors. Like my mates, my first sort of mentor, what wasn't a paid mentor, was my friend's dad, and he built it from scratch. Like, he built up a big hire van company, and again, similar sort of background. His son was always intrigued in hanging around the kids that was a little bit in trouble. And his dad was always like, why do you want to be in trouble? And he knew all the guys around that. When you earn money, you will cross over in them sort of areas with people that are in and around that sort of stuff. It's especially when you grow up in them sort of areas, it's hard not to. And his dad knew all them people when he was around them, but he was proper legit. And he didn't like his son wanting to be kind of on that. His son liked the glamour and the excitement of it. So every time I used to go in and hire vans and we used to do the runs and stuff like that, he never initially liked me. But one day, he knew I knew that counsellor. So one day, he was trying to get a swimming pool plan in. He said, can you give an introduction? And my mate said, can you sit with my dad and give him an introduction? So I sat down with him, and he went, use boys and what you do and getting up to stuff, it's no good. And he gave me this lecture, and I said, his name's Steve. I said, listen, Steve, this is a means to an end to me. I'm not Scott. I'm not your son. I haven't got opportunity. So whatever I do now is just the opportunity that's around me of what I've got. I've got no exams, no education, dyslexic. I'm just taking the opportunity. But this, I promise you, is a means to the end to me. He went, I like you. And then every time I had a business venture, and all my new business ventures, I used to sit in and ask him the questions on it. But very old school. Don't get debt, boy. Buy it cash. You can buy it cash.
You're in a different situation.
Well, I can't buy these things cash, you know. But yeah, back to the first day. So I pulled out, bought this piece of land. There was a massive headache with it because I was asking for advice from, again, he was kind of mentor. He was guiding me. I was asking his advice. There's some kids that went to my school that was a couple of years younger than me, and they wanted to be counsellors. And I was naive to this. So because he's a counsellor, they would want to be on the council and counsellors, and they got in the council. I was like, I'm talking to this Gerard. I didn't know all this back controversy sort of stuff. The kid proper drilled me on it. Oh, what's this? What's he saying? What's that? And then next thing you knew, internet was quite early then. I'm on the internet saying, dodgy counsellor at it again with me. And as I said, it's my friend's father-in-law. Yeah. And these other kids was one of my really close friends from school. Like, this guy is like a big dread, broken teeth, like, he's just one of them guys. And where he was mixed race in the area as well, he just took a shine to me where I was smaller and stuff. He used to always be a kind of a bit of a protector for me. But his other brother was like a investment banker, counsellor, completely different from him. Okay. So I phoned him up and said, look, your brother's put me online, like, and we've, like, my friend's dad, like, come on now, like, so he's phoned him up, they got it offline or whatever. But anyway, I realised there was a lot more politics and a lot more hassle involved with building houses, way beyond my level of skill, way beyond, even, I had a lot of courage, but once I got the property, I started procrastinating because it was scary. I was dealing with ransom strips, architects. I never even spoke to an architect in my life. And again, now I'm dealing with this whole political sort of issue with because what it turned out is one was Labour, one was Conservative. They was vying over the best seats in there. And these young kids was trying to go against him to win his seat. It was a political thing. So as soon as they found that out, they was trying to go against him. It turned out, really funny story, one of the younger kids, he was really promising as a counsellor, and he was calling this older guy out who was really settled in the council, really good seat and position. He was calling him out, and how it turned out is one day they found out on his computer he had really explicit porn on there. So he found out, he went, listen, boy, do you want to sit down or do we want to go public with this? You know, like, and he had to leave. So he had a grief with him. He left and had a grief. So my grief got wrapped into, my situation got wrapped into their little grievance. But anyway, I lost money on that piece of land. But in the meantime, I bought a buy-to-let in Southend-on-Sea. I then bought a buy-to-let in Tilbury, Essex, and I was out of money. I was like, that 70k pot was, I felt big, but I was like, man, money, man. How do I keep going?
But you just mentioned you bought the two properties. Mm-hmm. So when you bought the first one, what was the gap between buying the second? Did you start refurb work on it, or was it already ready to just let out?
No, so the first one I bought, and again, like I teach people now, and I say, look, I know it sounds sexy going after developments and big HMO conversions, but in most cases, not every case, there's always an exceptional rule, but in most cases, cut your teeth smaller. So for me, I wasn't the exceptional rule. I tried doing the development and it was too scary. It was too above my stations and it made me procrastinate. And I'm somebody that's got quite a bit of courage, confidence and conviction. So I say to people, the thing that don't get you ahead is getting started. And the reason you don't get started is because of fear. I don't care who you are. Most men go, no, I'm not scared. But it's fear and that internal dialogue that's like, what if this happens? What if that happens? So this is why boxers start off with journeymen. When Anthony Joshua won the heavyweight title, he didn't go straight in, Olympics, sorry. He didn't go straight in for heavyweight title shot. He went through journeymen and got built up in arenas. When footballers come through as a promising youth player, they get loaned out to a first division team to get used to the pressure, the atmosphere, get used to playing, and they get built into the main team. Yeah. So in property, everybody thinks they can go Premier League or heavyweight title shot straight away. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there is exceptional rule. There is the Mike Tysons, who was heavyweight champion at 19. There is the Wayne Rooney's that scored on his debut at 16.
Yeah, but not Corbin.
It's not everybody. Yeah. So look, if you are exceptional rule, great, let's find that out and that you go for that. Mm-hmm. But if you're not, then what you'll do is you'll destroy your goals and your ambitions because you'll be measuring yourself against exceptional rule and then self-doubt, you'll self-doubt.
Knocking your own confidence.
Yeah, and it knocks your confidence. Yeah. Start, cut your teeth, get a quick win, build your confidence up and keep going from that. So
would you say like a vanilla buy-to-let? Like
for most people, yeah. And again, the only place you can do that is in the north, you know, like a vanilla buy-to-let, 7 to 15 grand refurb. Get used to it. Get used to dealing with builders. The refurb won't go right the first time or any time. Like, having experience does not buy you immunity from refurbs not going wrong. It buys you the experience to navigate it correctly. And you've got the resources coming in to navigate it correctly. So I had a refurb a little while ago. estimated it at 70k. We had a QS come out and said, yeah, we think 79k. I'm like, I think I'd be keener than that. But either way, 70, 80k, end up being 100k. Because I've got resources coming in, it's fine. If I'd have got told on my first deal by a coach, go and lend other people's money, and now all of a sudden I've got to find another 30k, and I'm on a bridging product, that would have bankrupted me, both mentally and financially and immorally, because I've lent somebody's money without having experience and the backup to be able to navigate that. So I say to people, just build up to it, you know. Like,
okay.
Yeah,
and then you said that. So you started off with so after that you started to like do vanilla buy-to-lets. How many did you do before you decided to, you know, to go up to the northeast? Or was your first vanilla buy-to-let up in the northeast?
No, so yeah, bought a place in Southend.
Yeah.
So this is the whole story. So this is how I become a remote property investor. So I bought a place in Southend. So again, I'm looking like Stratford, we know because my family.
Yep.
Aveley, I know really well, but it's like at the time I had a pot of money. I'm like, I've got 70k. My money's not going to go far in Stratford. Aveley's not an investment. Again, this is just my natural instinct. I didn't read any books at the time or anything, but I'm like, Aveley's not an investment area. There's no train stations, it's a village, price is quite high, rents are not that low. So I looked what everybody says naturally within an hour, Southend-on-Sea. Okay, that's about 50 minutes away. Let me go and buy a place in Southend-on-Sea. So I bought a place in Southend-on-Sea, and it turned out to be in the middle of a red light district. 4 doors up from the property, there was a drug rehabilitation centre, and it's a crackhead area. So it wasn't like a red light district, all cool and trendy bars like Amsterdam.
Yeah.
It was heroin addicts
Right.
walking the street at night for their fix, and then in the morning to top it off, 4 doors up, they was queuing up for their rehabilitation. Luckily, I moved. Luckily, I moved my friend in there, and I think he liked these ladies at night, and he.
So it worked out.
Yeah, we were staying there for about 7 years, so it worked okay-ish.
Yeah.
And the second person, this is when that myth got broke. So I bought that property anyway, and I'll circle back on that. Bought that property. Next property I bought was in. I was out of money, so I bought the piece of land, and I bought that property. I'm like, how do I keep going with this? How do I build a portfolio? I've got 70 grand, and now I bought a piece of land and one property, and I've got about 10 grand left. How do I keep going? So I was new. I'd never been on the internet at this stage, so I got myself a laptop, started going online and googling how to build a property portfolio, and I stumbled across a guy called AJ, and he was from Romford, so it resonated with me. So I live in Brentwood now, so right in the triangle. So Romford's in the middle of Aveley, Stratford, and Brentwood, where I am. And this guy was this was the first seed of remote. He was going, we're buying properties all around the country, and we're getting a 10% yield. I'm embarrassed to say I bought a piece of land and a buy to let, and I didn't even know what a yield was. Right. I was like, look, let's just get this, and I'll figure it out. And I started following him a bit. I was thinking, wow, this makes sense, but it just seemed too good to be true. And he was like a bit of a guru at the time, doing coaching stuff. But I got his email list, and I was educating from him. And he was saying, like, use other people's money, like the BRR strategy. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And around the time, it was crazy. So I only had about 10k left. And around the time, because I had money going from my bank and that, and around the time, the bank phoned me up and went, hey, we've got 25 grand loan. Would you like it?
And just for the audience, let them know what a BRR strategy is.
Yeah, buy, refurbish, refinance. I didn't know what that was at the time. So
Okay.
I bought the land, bought my next property again. I was like, this should cost about 10 grand to fix up. It cost me about 20 grand, took me twice as long. So I just didn't have the experience.
Yeah.
But either way, it got me started. Moved my friend in there, started getting some income off of it. So then I didn't have much money left. So I heard this guy talking about using other people's money, using the bank's money, using overdrafts, using credit cards. I was like, wow, that sounds interesting. And coincidentally, the bank phoned me up and said, hey, we've got a loan for you for 25k. Would you like it? I was like, yeah. And exactly that. So I said it in that tone, and the guy on the end of the phone laughed and went, what do you
Send it
want
my
it for?
way.
Yeah. What do you want it for? I said, I'll buy a house, man. They said, what do you mean you buy a house? I was so excited. I was like, yeah, I'll buy a house for a portfolio. I didn't even have a portfolio, but I was like, I'll buy a house for a portfolio. He went, oh man, listen, if you said this was for a car or kitchen for your own home, we could lend it to you. It's a personal loan. We can't lend for business purposes. And he went, do you know what? I can't even give it to you now because these calls are recorded. I was like, well, you phoned me. It's not like I was asking you. He went, but Joe, what I can do, I can phone you back.
Don't you find it's quite ironic that something that you can get that will make money for them, like buying a house, an investment, they won't lend it to you, but something like which is a liability, like buying a house.
Ah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they're more than happy to give it to you.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. But the guy went to me, but I can call you back. I knew exactly what he meant. I said, listen, mate, I'll phone you back. I hung the phone up within a second, ring. This is back in the landline days. I had my landline, ring. Hello, bank here. Would you like a loan? Yes. How much you like? Like 25 grand. What do you want it for? I want it for a car. No problem. Boom, in my account at the end of that day. And then I just stumbled across the BRR strategy. And at the time, the Mortgage Works was doing this thing where it's called a light refurbishment mortgage, where you bought it and you had 3 months to refurb it. And as long as you refurbed it within 3 months, they'll come back out, revalue it and give you money back. So it wasn't a bridging loan. It was just a mortgage. You got a mortgage and you got 3 months to do the work. So you've done the work within a week, you could get the money back within a week. But it needed a light amount of work. Couldn't do any heavy stuff, structural stuff. These mortgages are still out there at the moment, by the way.
Okay.
Hardly anybody knows about them, but I don't know why. People say you can't do BRR on a mortgage. I'm like, I've done loads, probably done 80, 90 BRR deals
what
on
would
mortgage.
you say is light work, like a bathroom?
The bathroom, kitchen, you've got to do enough to force it up. So usually we do a bathroom, kitchen, paint, cut new carpets. So like 10, 15K is what they are classes at.
Right.
We done one a little while ago, about a year ago, we spent 22K on it. And they did question it. Like, it was like, oh. I said, no, yeah, we'll do it for, we said, we'll do it for this. And we did spend about 22K, but we managed to get it through. It was with Kent Reliance. And it's called a light refurbishment product. So they don't give it within now you've got to own it for 6 months, and they come back after 6 months and they come and revalue it and they give you an advance. It's called an advance.
Right.
So it costs you about 100 quid to get a new valuation, and they come out as advance, top up your loan.
Is there like a penalty charge? Because obviously you locked in.
No, it's the same. It's the same mortgage.
Okay.
There's another way you can do it as well, is Shawbrook don't charge you any early repayment penalties if you stay with them. So you buy it on a mortgage, you end the term, they charge you a discount to give you new arrangement fees. There's no black mark against you. They give you no mortgage. So you just get it on a mortgage, you end the term early, and then you put it on a mortgage with them again, because they don't charge you no fees as long as you stay with them. There is an early repayment penalty, but if you stay with them and end your mortgage early, they will not charge you a fee, basically.
Wow, that's a free gem right there.
Yeah.
So loads of people, like bridging just costs loads of money. It smashes the life out of your
Margins.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, if you've got to use bridge, I use bridging if I'm doing development or wanting development finance. But on a single buy to let, I don't do it. And similar again, depending, people say to me, should I buy cash? Should I buy bridging? And a big bugbear of mine online with like these gurus and these people saying you have to buy bridge or you have to buy cash. You have to use other people's money. It's like, no, you have to do what suits you and the circumstances. Look at the deal. Look how much margin's in the deal. Look how much money you've got available to you. And look how many deals you've got coming to you. So for me, like if I'm being aggressive, I'm buying quite aggressively, I'm like, okay, I don't want to tie my money up cash because I know I'm going to find another 5 deals before I finish this one. And the money that I make from the 5 deals outweighs the discount I get from buying for cash. But then if I'm not being so aggressive, but sometimes I'm not buying as many properties because I've got so much stuff on, I might be, okay, I'll put cash into that one, you know? So it's just depending on my circumstances. Or if I can't find many deals, if it took me a long while to find a deal because the market's a bit hard, then I'm like, I might as well buy it cash because I'm probably not going to find another deal any quicker anyway. So yeah, I just judge it off the back of that kind of thing.
Okay, nice. And then obviously you said that you do remote, all your properties up north.
Yeah, so going back to how that, so I come across his AJ, he was buying everywhere. So it planted that seed, but he was doing seminars at the time. I was too nervous to go to them. But then I got this property in Tilbury. We'd done the light refurbishment on it. It was a 30% deposit back then. The rates was about 6%. I got this loan from the bank, and I'm not, disclaimer, you're not allowed to use personal loans. So I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. I'm comfortable to do it. My risk appetite is, look, it's a grey area, but how I see this is I can afford to pay that loan regardless. So it shouldn't matter to you what I use that money for, because I can pay it anyway. So I was comfortable not following the rules in that case, but I'm not encouraging anybody else to do that. But we got this loan, so I bought that property, I BRR'd it, but at the 40K that I put into it, I only got 11K back out. So I was like, how do I keep going here? And then I bumped into a guy that's from Stockton-on-Tees. And he went, I should look up there. And I was like, okay, I've heard this AJ talk about it.
Yeah.
So I went up there. And he moved down from Stockton-on-Tees. He's done over 100 property deals as a side hustle. His main businesses was like sunbed shops, garages. He's just a prolific entrepreneur. He's got loads of businesses and then bought a lot of property off the back of the money he had. So he was my step in. He told me, like, there was areas in Stockton-on-Tees, like my property in Southend. But ultimately, he guided me away from them. Like every area's got macro and microeconomics within it. You've got the good parts, the bad parts, the parts in the middle. And your job as an investor is to find the little micro spots that are the sweet spots for your rentals. And what I found the sweet spots for the rentals was not the bottom end ones where you've got the drug addicts and all that stuff. Not even the middle class ones where you've got first time buyers and homeowner mindsets. It's just above that. It's like the mums on benefits who want a family home. That gives you long-term tenants. So my first deal was in Stockton-on-Tees. So I had 11K that I refinanced back out. And I was like, do you know what? I'm always about protecting the downside. It's a bit of a risk. I don't know this guy very well, but I bought a house for 41K in Stockton-on-Tees. I was like, the mortgage is about 180 quid. Can I pay that if we can't rent it? Yes. I'm going to tie into this 13 grand. Do I want to lose 13 grand if the house drops out of stuff? No, but could I suffer that loss if the worst case scenario happens? Yeah, I can recover from 13 grand. It's all the money I had at the time. So I was like, do you know what? Let's give it a punt. I don't know if he's true. He seems genuine, but he was genuine. We're best friends still to this day. So I bought a house and then we bought it for 41K. I spent £1,700 on it. And then I went and got it revalued at 60K. So I actually got a 45 grand mortgage back on it. So I got all my 13K back out and nearly 2 grand on top. And I was like, oh, wow, like this seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and funny enough, because he was so known in the area, what happened was his lady in the office was doing the viewings for me. So I was finding them online. I was sending them to him. He's like, no, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. No, that could be kind of okay. Like, and I was looking at the cheapest stuff because of my budget. He went, you'd get away with it. It's not the greatest, but you'll get away with it. I said, that does me. So I sent her out to view it. And as she was walking out, somebody went, you work for like Lee Blackburn, a guy I know. Can you put me on the list to rent the house? So that lady ended up renting it. So I'd rented it before I'd even put a bid on the house. So I put a bid on it, got it accepted. She rented it. We've done a refurb at £1,700. She moved in day one. She stayed there for about 5 years. We rented at £500 a month. Mortgage was about 180. 2 years later, so when I refinanced it, because it was at 41K, I couldn't refinance it straight away. The lender at the time wouldn't allow an instant like that light refurbishment product. So I had to wait 2 years. So 2 years' time, I refinanced it. The rates had come down dramatically.
Nice.
So I got all my money out. My mortgage had dropped down to about £80 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got all my money back out.
Yeah.
So I'd had
Win-win.
more money back out and what's the name? So the second house I bought up there again, we bought this above 50K. So with the mortgage works, they changed the product. You had to wait 6 months, but we got the light refurbishment product. I'd spent 700 quid on it. And they give me, I bought it for 52K, got it revalued at 70K. We spent £600 on this and we got most of my money back out. I'm like, oh man, I'm hooked. I need to buy a lot.
Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to buy hundreds of these. And it didn't quite go to plan. It got harder as a scale as normal. But that was the first introduction of remote investing. I thought, yeah, this works.
Interesting. And question on that with the remote investing, I did come across one of your posts where you said you set a KPI for yourself to do 7 to 10 viewings every week, isn't it?
Yep.
How did that work out? Like, how were you navigating that 7 to 10?
Yes, I've learned a better way to do this now.
Right.
We analyse all deals online now before we view them. Even if I was local, it's just a waste of time going to look at them. If you are experienced enough to do HMOs, all you need to know is the floor plan. And you need to know it's structurally sound, because you go back to brick doing a big HMO conversion anyway. So you just need to know the floor plan. If you're experienced to do smaller refurb, I call them KISS refurbishments, keep it simple, stupid. So do a small refurbishment. You can analyse them if you use the EPC register, you can see the roof, the windows, and all this sort of stuff needs doing, and the boiler. So you can see the big stuff. And by pictures, you can get a good feel. Yeah, it needs to be painted. It needs a kitchen. It needs all these bits. So we analyse everything online. But back then, I used to just hire people to just do the viewings for me.
Right.
So it just cost me a lot of money. So it just cost me about £200 to £300 a week to do that. But I was deal sourcing. So this is when I really got momentum. So my first 5 years, I done 5 deals. And then I got the bright idea to open a coffee shop in Hornchurch, right opposite the tube station.
Okay.
I was like, okay, like, how it happened was he had sunbed shops, this guy, and just I was playing golf with him, being around him. I was like, oh wow, like he was kind of an early mentor, an inspiration. He didn't teach me much on property, but being around him, he was so successful in business. I was just learning a lot. And I found a shop. I said to him, do you think this would work as a sunbed shop? It was in Grays in Essex. And he said, yeah, that worked really well. So I went forward with it. And nobody wanted to rent this shop because it comes with an upstairs. And everybody just wanted the shop front.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, before rent to rent was even a thing, say if I carve this up into rooms, I said to the estate agent, can I carve this up into rooms, split this off and rent these out residentially? Spoke to the council, said, yeah, under permitted development can do it. He went, yeah, the landlord said it's fine as long as you give him the plans. So I looked at it, I was like, just renting the rooms upstairs will cover the whole rent for the whole building. And I've got the business from the sunbed shops and there's a yard at the back that I'd line somebody up to rent like for as a welder. I'm like, wow, it's going to be a super profitable venture. And because he had done sunbed shops, he said, yeah, I'll tell you exactly what to do, the right beds, how to set it up. It's an easy business to run as well. He said, like lots of girls want a job in a sunbed shop because it's pretty cool. And he said, they're just pretty straightforward to run. So I was like, going ahead with this, got architects in, got planning in. Now all of a sudden the estate agent wasn't answering me, ghosted me, not answering me. So it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to turn up in the office. And he all of a sudden answered me. And what happened was the owner of the building liked my idea and nicked it, basically.
Oh, God.
No.
Yeah.
But because I had seeded this idea, I'm like, I'm buying these properties and I'm liking the idea of it. The idea behind the sunbed shop was to we done our maths, and he's saying, I'm telling you now, just from the sunbed shop alone, you're going to earn about 1,500 quid a week from that sort of sunbed shop, let alone from the property element and everything else. So I'm like, yeah, if I generate that sort of income and my deposits up north for like 10, 15K, I'm going to be able to buy a lot more houses. The whole idea behind it was to generate more money to buy more houses.
Yeah.
So I'm now looking around for a new shop. Not all of them are suitable for it. And I'm looking around and I stumbled across, because I'm looking at commercial shops, I stumbled across this coffee shop opposite your tube station. And the natural shiny penny of me just thought, oh, that looks good. And my friend's girlfriend had, she had just been fed up with her job, and she'd always worked in catering. And I was round there and she was like, oh, I'm going to quit. And I was like, I just found this coffee shop. Would you run it? If I get it, would you run it? She's like, and my friend liked the idea of it because he knew I was entrepreneurial, and he's like, yeah. And looking back on it, she didn't like the idea of it, but he did, and he was pushing it forward, going, yeah, we'll do that. So I got this coffee shop. I called it iCoffee. I'm the creator and the ideas behind it. We put iPads on the table at times. This is in 2012, 13. So from 2009 up into 2012, I've done 5 deals and a piece of land.
Okay.
And I started just doing BRR, and then I opened this coffee shop to get more money to do more BRRs and buy more properties, because even though I was doing BRR, it was too slow for me. I wanted more income. So opened this coffee shop and it was just a disaster. Day one, she quit.
Wow.
She didn't like it. Day 2, I'm in there Googling how to make a cappuccino because trying to keep it open.
Yeah.
And it drained me of resources, energy. So
Time.
The plan was to get more money to buy more houses, and it stopped me buying houses for nearly 2 years because it just sucked up all my money, energy and time trying to run it. I got my nephew in there, I got a girl in there. It was terrible. And I learned some steep, hard lessons on properly running a business and proper staff, because before then I'd hired people here and there, but not as committed as this, and I didn't have the management skills, didn't have the infrastructure and the systems to run it. So it lost me a ton of money, and it sidetracked me from doing what I was doing. And then I nearly had another burnout again. So because I wasn't sleeping correctly, I was in a big hole. So I went into about 30, 40 grand debt at the time. I had to raise some money, to put all my money in here. We didn't open it in time. And I was feeling the pressure again. I had landlords that was trying to pressure me, and I was trying to exit this thing. So I was in a lease and trying to exit it. And I realised I need to get back to property because that's what I was enjoying. So I went to a multiple streams of property income seminar, and I was blown away. I'd never had education, never been online, never read any books. I was just like, wow, they're talking about lease options. And I'd had a little bit of education with this AJ, but subsequently he got arrested for scamming people just afterwards. So I was a little bit like, where do we go? But I owe him a lot, because I learned a lot from him. A lot of concept with other people's money and stuff like that. But then I went to multiple streams of property income, and it blew my mind. And again, I wasn't sleeping because I was like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And again, I tried running too fast, too quick. So I tried doing a sourcing company and a load of different things, and I wasn't sleeping again. My mind went pop again. But if the first time it was 110, second time it was 70, the third time it was about 30. And I had much more commitments at this stage. I had a handful of properties, I had a mortgage on my mum's property. There was a lot more pressure on me. The first time it happened, I had nothing kind of thing. I lived at my mum's and there was nothing there. But I'd also learnt from the times before how to manage this. So I navigated it quicker. But this time I humbled myself. I was like, okay, I need to learn meditation. I need to learn about my mind. If I want to continue, my wife now, it's the first time she's seen this happen to me. And she was similar to my mum, going, is this worth it? It scared her. Of course it would. And I was like, look, I've got to pursue my passions. I'm not a 9-to-5 worker, and I've got to pursue my passions. And if that requires, I'm sorry to you, but if that requires my head going a little while, I'd rather go mad, try and pursue something I enjoy and fulfillment, than just go and sit in an office and go mad doing that, So, but I humbled myself. I started really learning about the brain. So I geeked out on diets, your mind space, meditation, exercise, cold plunging, all these different things. And I become a human guinea pig with myself. If I drink, going back to the alcohol conversation, I know now if I put 3 beers in the fridge on a Friday night, every time I put them in the morning, that internal dialogue says to me, put 4 or 5 in there. You're going to want more than 3. But I know I manage my own mind with this. I go, okay, put 3 in there. It stops that. I'm putting 3 in. So I shut up mind. I'm just putting 3 in. I'm not trying to restrict you from not having a drink. So I enjoy a drink. And 3, we know this works. So then by the time I get to the 3rd beer, I put the 4th one in the freezer because I won't drink a warm beer. But by the time the 4th one's got cold, it just slows my pace down because I can drink really quick. But once I get to 4 or 5 beers, if they're all cold in the fridge, if I get to 4 or 5 beers, that's it. My logical thinking's out and I'll drink 20 beers. One's too many, 1,000's not enough. But by slowing the pace down and putting one in the freezer at a time, by the time it comes bedtime, I've only drunk 6 beers. I know 6 beers is where my cutoff is for me to not wake up the next day, to enjoy it. And I mean bottles, so it's like 3 pints.
Yeah.
No, that's what, and with Coronas, it's not a heavy Stella sort of heavy beer. So
tenants.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's good you've learned that about yourself.
I've learned
it's good you learned that about yourself.
Sometimes it creeps over, and sometimes it creeps out. But I know my restrictions and where that's at kind of thing.
You know your limits.
Yeah, and do I get them perfect? No, but yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty, to be honest, because
big time.
Because I think when it comes to we see that you're an entrepreneur, then obviously if someone sees, they might think that you might have this perfect situation, you've mapped it all out, and to see that you've been so vulnerable and been open with us with the little pitfalls, I think is really good, because there'll be someone out there that could relate to see that, right, I've started at a particular situation, didn't do too great, and literally we can see the steady incline going up of the progress that you're actually making. So commend you for that.
Oh, big time, yeah. And it's a very valid point. Particularly on social media, like people tend to only show the best side.
The best side of them.
But then that's natural. It's not against the person necessarily. So let's say somebody will see, property through again, deal after deal after deal on your side. But what you're really showing people is like, there's been a journey, there's been ups, there's been downs, so... massive respect for that.
And that's why I share it more now. You said earlier on, I didn't really. One, I was a bit embarrassed when it first happened, so I didn't share too much about my past. Number 2, I was a bit nervous about my past. It's like, say people like. The thing is, social media is the single most powerful thing you can do in your business, barring none, to drive your business forward, or your career forward, or your life forward.
Do you think it's helped you?
100%. It's been the key component behind my growth. There's loads of other things you have to understand business, lots of components. But if I had to say, look, what is the biggest driver is building an online profile, without a question of doubt. I said it to you off camera, your network is your net worth. And it's a cheesy saying, but I say it because it's true. And Google, who hold more data on us than anybody else, done a study called Zermot. It was in 2011. It's called the 1174 data sort of thing. They said they studied buying behavior of people, the psychology of people. And they said people do not buy without knowing you. They get to know you, and more so now in today's world because of social media and scams. So the trust level is increasing. So there's a guy called Robert Cialdini. He wrote a book called Influence in the 1980s, and he said it takes 7 points of contact before someone builds trust with you. Well, Google in 2011 said that's changed. It's now 11 points of contact. So 11 touches of contact over 7 hours over 4 different locations. So location is like now, us talking now. Yeah. A location could be on a podcast. A location could be on Reels. A location could be in Messenger. A location could be on Zoom. So it all class as different locations. So your job as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, even if you want a job, if somebody wants to work with me, I'm like, look on your profile. Can I tell anything about you? And if you've got a lot on your profile, you're getting a job with me quicker because I can get to know you quicker. So this influence is anything you're going to do. But because of my past, I said I wasn't like a heroin dealer. I wasn't a pimp or anything major like that. I got in trouble with weed. My entrepreneurial skills was thinking, maybe could be with my flat in Southend, being in the middle of a red light district in the heroin area. But look, I didn't do stuff like that. But I got in trouble with weed. So I had that internal dialogue with online stuff like, my past, and say if I get crucified for it, people would judge me for it. I need to go to, when I first went to property events, I made sure I wore like kind of a suited looking thing. And my name is Andrew Harvey. So I was introducing to myself. Everybody's like, I think I've got to be more official, Andrew. Since a kid, everybody, even teachers, called me Harvey. And it feels odd when people call me by my first name. So I just say, you know what, call me by my last name, because I want to get on with people. I want to just feel comfortable with people. And it just feels odd. It feels too official. And as strange as that sounds. So initially when I first went networking, I thought I had to have this persona and be like try and speak a bit better and hide my past. And after a while, I realised, no, I've got a past. And there's a lot of people with past that's probably doing what I've done previously. So let me share it with people to let everybody know everybody's got a past. And even when I got involved with counsellors and stuff like this, I realised everybody's got pasts, you know, and some people have got worse ones than others, but we've all got pasts, we've all got demons, we've all got this internal dialogue. So I share it more to let people know this is
and it makes
real.
it more relatable as well. Like I guess people can relate to you more as well in regards to it, rather than thinking that you're this perfect image. So no, I definitely totally agree with you in regards to that. Definitely.
Very valid points you made. And it's funny, I'll actually share one on my side, right? When I first got into a corporate environment, obviously I'm from East London, you know, we tend to not pronounce our T's, you know? So I was always trying to, you know, put on the super corporate voice. And I remember one day when I went up to a manufacturing site in Hellwood, right? It's one of my close friends now. He's been a professional, long time engineer, mechanical engineer. And he said to me that, what are you putting his voice on for? Like he saw straight through it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it was a process of me saying, you know what? I'm just going to be me. It don't matter where I'm from. I speak how I speak. And I noticed being a straight talker for the last, 7 years ago is when this started to materialize. I get more done. I'm more productive. So even if I'm sitting in a board meeting, I'm speaking the exact same way. And people also read the authenticity
Absolutely.
in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can breed more useful, more genuine relationships. That's how I see it. So you made a good point.
People crave that now. Back in the day, like from 80s, 70s, 60s, you did have to put a persona on, and there was walls and barriers, but social media and online has just knocked all those walls down. And now people do actually crave authenticity. It's surprising me. Like I had a lawyer reach out and lend me 50k. I had somebody who's a doctor reach out and lend me money. I'm like, I coach people, and I coach doctors, lawyers who's come from my coaching program. I'm like, wow, you're university trained people. I'm no exams, dyslexic, and I'm like, wow, like it just humbles me in one sense, but on the other sense, it makes me realise that's who they're connecting with. And the idea behind the trouble is everybody's got that need to be liked. And they've got their own thing inside them and want everybody to like them. So you put on this persona to try and make people like you that probably wouldn't like you anyway.
Yeah.
And I said this to a guy online the other day, like he was criticising me about something I was doing, and I'm like, I'd done a tongue-in-cheek sort of comedy sort of post, and he criticised me, and I answered him. I knew where he was going with it because he's criticised me quite a few times online.
Okay.
And I knew where he was going with it, but I just poked him back a little bit. I said, what are you talking about? I knew where he was going with it. Well, that's unprofessional. I'm an investor and I want to invest money with you doing stuff like that. I said, do you know what? With all due respect, I've got an abundance of opportunity of people who can invest money into me. So now I pick the people that I resonate with the most. Yeah. And obviously me and you won't resonate. I get that. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And I get that not everybody's, I'm going to be that as well. I've made peace with not trying to get everybody to like me because I'm the same who I am. But the thing I don't get is when I don't like somebody else online, I just skip past their content.
Yeah, it's not for me. Move on.
That's right. So why you keep on watching my stuff and comment on it? If you don't like me, I get that. It's fine. But why keep watching my stuff, mate?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's just basically trolling you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's a single. I had loads of demons about getting online, but it's really powerful. If you studied at Zermop, so I'm working on marketing. I've started a new marketing business, and we're helping people build out brands and build it into business. The biggest mistake people make in business is trying to go online and do business. Social media is for being social, first of all, and awareness. And what you then need to do is drive them off of social media into funnels and touch points. So if you look at Zermop, this is what I teach people. The easiest way to get awareness at the moment is short form content. Because think about it. At the moment, attention spans are diminishing, but so is the choice of content that you can watch. So because there's such a choice of content, like each day I want to listen to content because I want to educate myself, but also want to do stuff. So I can't spend all day listening to content.
Yeah.
So I can't compartmentalize out a part of my day to listen to content. So if I'm looking at, this is a prime example, if I look at a stranger and it's got 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in front of it, I'm not giving you 10, 20, 30 minutes of my time to see if you're any good. But if I see a minute video, I'm like, that's all right. Watch another one. That's all right. And I've done this other day. Guy that I didn't particularly warm to naturally, like the look of. The sound of him didn't warm to him naturally. I try not to hate on it. I don't hate anybody, but there's certain people you vibe with a bit more than others. He wasn't the type guy that I would naturally gravitate to. But he used Alex and Mosey as a hook at the front of his video because this is the most important part, getting that hook at the start. So he used Alex and Mosey as a hook and he criticised Alex and Mosey. I'm like, wow, you're bold. Like Alex and Mosey's on fire. Yeah. Everybody loves him at the moment. Yeah. Let me hear what you got to say. And what he said made sense. He went, Alex, yeah, that works for you because you've got such credibility. But I would say, I would do it like this if you haven't got the level of credibility that Alex Hormozi's got. I went, yeah, it does make sense. That's right. So now, watched a few more of his short form content. Watched about 10 of them. I'm like, so now I've got 10 points of contact with him. Now I went up to YouTube to check if he's got longer form content, which he did. Now I've watched probably about 5 or 6 of his long form content between like 7 and 15 minutes. I've now just ordered his book.
Yeah.
I'm now looking at his coaching programs. He's took me through awareness, grabbed my attention. From that point, I will give somebody 10 minutes for a video, but only if I know they've got the credibility to give me value in that. He proved that. So you should do short form content to get that awareness. That's that first touch points on there. Then you drive them to YouTube ideally, longer form content. Then you drive them into DMs and into funnels where you get them touch points. And then if you've got a high end product, whether you deal source or you like the quickest way to earn good money is find something you can sell for expensive that's valuable, and you've got a high margin on it. So if you can find something you can sell for £1,500 to £2,000 and above, it's got to have value on it. What a lot of people done is learn how to sell stuff for £1,500 to £2,000, which wasn't valuable. They just learnt marketing tricks. Don't just sell stuff. Make sure it's got value on it.
Yeah.
But if you can find a product you can sell for that sort of money, then that's how you gain momentum and money really quickly. So if you take people through that funnel from not knowing you through awareness into that, that's how you can get them on a call at the end of it and close them on products at like 15, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 pounds. And it just... yeah, it's blown my mind and reshifted my state of understanding. So property was my main business. So I went from doing 5 deals in that first 5 years. I got sidetracked, didn't do another deal again for 2 years, and my head nearly went. Got myself back on track, reading, mindset, meditation, business and understanding, and got myself some mentors and paid for my education. I then started doing deal sourcing, social media, educating myself and the BRR strategy together, and I've done like 50 deals in 2 years. So, wow. But then... again, it crept in again. Like, do you remember when I said when I was young, it went to my head?
Yeah.
It started going to my head. Thought I was Richard Branson. My company's called Growth Properties. So I thought, we'll have a lettings business. We'll have I've done growth refurbishment. I've done growth lettings. And I thought that I was going to open this big chain and group of businesses. But I didn't have the infrastructure, the skill at that point to open that many businesses at the same time. And what it done, it sabotaged the business, because I was buying about 2 or 3 properties per month, 1 for myself and 1 or 2 for investors. And the money I was earning from the investor money, I was putting towards my deposit. So I was selling these deals for like 5.5k a deal. So it didn't take long before I paid the lad who's doing my viewings for me and my overhead. It didn't take long to have enough money for my own deposit again. And I was doing the BRR as well. So not every deal was as good as that first one, which I got all my money back out. A lot of them I'd leave about 50 to 70% I was getting back out. But again, that 15 to 20k in a deal was leaving 10k in and you're earning 5k, 10k a month. It didn't take long to replenish that money up, even if you did leave money in the deals. So I got a bit of momentum with that, but I opened the lettings and it had it's a really operational drag business.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of processes, systems and stuff there you need to do with it. Also partnered with a builder that wasn't the right builder to partner with. I thought, it sounds good. We call it growth refurbishment. He didn't know how to cost jobs. He didn't know how to do the business element of it. And I didn't know how to cost jobs at the time. So he's coming in, he was quoting on jobs because he was just panicking he wouldn't win them. And he was getting halfway through them and running out of money. And now I'm doing this with investors' money. So the efficacy of me is like, you've paid me to get this right for you.
Yeah, of course.
And like, if it's out £100 or there's some mould underneath a carpet that we didn't spot or a boiler don't work, it's fine. But he was missing things off like, I forgot to put the rubbish clearance on it. I'm like, how can you forget a rubbish clearance?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, here's an extra £1,000. He didn't have money. So I was suffering his cost. And then he was making mistakes. And then the lettings was making mistakes. And I spread myself too thin. So we went from doing 50 properties in 2 years, trying to set up 2 other companies too quickly, and then doing about 5 properties in the next 2 years. And the lettings business lost me about 20, 30 grand per year for about 4 years straight. But it was hard as well because all my landlords was the people I bought properties for. All the people I bought properties for invested in me. So it wasn't as easy as me just going, do you know what, I've had enough of this. I was trying to figure a way out of it. Last year I sold it. And I sold it to a guy that's got a smaller business than me, but I kept 20. Like I let him fold it into his business, so he shut my growth lettings down, and he folded it into his business, which is Brooklands Estates. But I got 20% as a retainer. But I'm just a director, so I give him consultancy, but I don't work in the business. So I get a dividend from it now, which is fantastic. I earn more money from it now than I did ever. But I got to a point with it as well where it's just about to earn money. But I realised it's operational drag and I don't enjoy it. And it goes back to when I said about sunbed shop. Hiring letting managers is hard because it's just a ball ache of a job. Dealing with landlords that don't want to spend money, dealing with tenants that want it done yesterday or don't want to pay, dealing with handymen that don't turn up, and landlords moaning about the cost of the handymen. It's a hard job to manage. So this is why we've been involved into social media. It's like, look, if I put up a job advert for a social media manager or put up a job advert for a property manager, I'll get 100 people put their hand up for the social media because it sounds cool. I want to go to the... And it is quite an interesting job. And I'll get 10 people put their hand up for here. So if I've got a bigger pool to pick from, I've got more of a chance of getting somebody good. And it's an interesting job. I've got more of a retainer on it. So with my business now and the social media, the funnels, the online stuff, I've gone from no margins and small margins to now like 80% margins, turnover, and products that we can sell with a lot of value at 2, 3, 5, 10 grand per time kind of thing. So, so the idea behind that now is, okay, he does a deal sourcing and that side of it, I get dividend from that. But I now, instead of deal sourcing, I concentrate on this business, and the money I get from this business, I put into buying myself more assets.
Okay.
So I don't so much... Property is not so much my business anymore. So I coach people, I online business, I do marketing with people, and the money I earn from that I buy properties with.
Yeah, but the key thing is that you make sure that you buy the properties and you try to hold on to them as well.
Yeah, I like building wealth with properties. I think it's a fantastic asset class.
Yeah, fantastic. So what would you say, we always ask questions, so just say someone that's brand new, never gone into property, don't really have much money, how would you say is the best way for them to like get into the industry?
Yeah, I know the best way, by the way, and it's not even... One of the things I pride myself on, I'll probably give you a picture of it, you can put it out. I called it my property delta matrix. And there's key components you need to get forward in business. You need money, you need knowledge, you need network, and you need time. And what I say to people is to figure out if you're the Mike Tyson, the exception of the rule, or if you're just the rule, or if you're behind the rule, because we need to find your pace and not judge you against other people. Yeah. And to do that, I say, ask yourself, power your questions, power your results. So from 0 to 10, how much money you got? Have you got 10k? You've got no money. Like, score yourself from 0 to 10. How much knowledge you got? Like, as in, not just podcasts and you've got online knowledge. How much experience and knowledge you got? How much money have you got? How much network have you got? Again, because the bigger the deals, the bigger the network of solicitors, accountants, better solicitors, better architects and things like this you need. So I measure that, and then at the bottom I say courage, confidence, and conviction. How much conviction have you got? Because some people know everything and what to do, but they just don't convict on what they know because they're too scared. So again, this is why it's scaling up. So if anybody's starting, I say, look, especially if you've got no money or whether you've got money, is I believe everybody should be a deal sourcer if you want to be in property. But it's 3 different levels of being a deal sourcer. There's side hustle, portfolio builder, and arbitrage. So side hustle is when you co-source. So you find a deal, and if I've got a list of investors, you give it to me, I sell it, I'll give you a commission. Portfolio building is when you do the end-to-end thing. It's quite a full-on business. I've done portfolio building for years. It's a lucrative business, but be prepared of what you're going into. It's quite like you're dealing with investors, their money, and surveyors, builders, like you're gonna earn your money in that place. And make sure you've got enough time and enough mind space to take the pressure that comes with that.
Okay.
And then arbitrage is where you build a big online profile. And like I only invest in my area, and we've got no social housing providers at the moment. But because I do content around social housing providers, I get lots of people come to me and say, "Can you give me a social housing provider deal?" No, but Jack can. Yeah, Jack is a person. Jack gives me a commission for sending them the person. So that's arbitrage, where you're not dealing with builders, looking at properties or anything. You just, off your profile, you find somebody,
it's your
you match
brand.
with them. Yeah, it's an introducer sort of thing. That's great, but it takes a while to get the profile and the credibility to do that. So going back to side hustle, how everybody should start is, if you strategically partner with somebody who's a co-sourcer, this will do a number of things for you. To build a portfolio, you need, like I said, I looked at 7 to 10 deals per week. Everybody goes, off-market deals, motivated seller. No matter how good your marketing is, around 90% of property transactions get done via an estate agent. So even if you've got great, I'm not discrediting off-market stuff, we do off-market stuff, but once you've exhausted that 10%, all that's left is a 90%, not all. The majority of properties that get sold are on market. So for me, it didn't make sense to only go for direct-to-vendor stuff because you're going to miss out if you're not going to buy the 90% of properties that get sold in your area. So then also, what I realised early was, guess what? Most people, they go, oh yeah, get the motivated sellers. That's fine, yeah, look for them. But again, there's only a small percentage of people about to be divorced, about to move, or is motivated. Most people do not start motivated when they want to sell a property. And this is the prime example of this. I sold a car the other week, and I put it on for £6,000, and I knew it was a high price, but ultimately, I thought I'd try my luck. If someone buys it 6K, great. 2 weeks gone, not even a phone call. Dropped it to 5.5K. 2 weeks gone again, not even another phone call. Dropped it to 5K. That day I got a phone call from a trader, offers me 4.5K for it. So I said to him, look, I would sell it for that, but not today, mate. I'll keep your number, but I've only just dropped the price. Now I know it's quite a keen price. I'm going to see how I get on with. No calls again for a week. Now I'm looking at this guy at 4.5 grand. And because he touched point with me and he was quite polite with it, he didn't try what's his name, is in my head. And this is how you buy properties. So we looked at 7 per week. Most of them people weren't motivated. Most of them speak to estate agents that tell them an overinflated price just to get the instruction. So how we do it is you go, look, week 1, you say, hey, Mr. Estate Agent, I'm not going to lowball offer you on this because it's embarrassing. I can only pay around 70K for this property. So I know it's not a thing. You take an indication from them. They'll go, we'll give it a try. They give you permission to lowball offer them. If they say that, I say, well, then 70K. And if they even go, whoa, I go, well, that's why I didn't offer a minute ago. But what you've done is you planted the seed. And then what you say is, look, good luck with the property, whether it's direct to vendor or not. What I'm going to do is keep in touch. And if you don't sell it in a little while, then I'll be around. So every week to 2 weeks, you touch base. Hey, how you doing? How's that property going? Have you tried this or try and sell it? And you just be polite with them. It usually takes about 12 weeks of them sitting on the market. Now their motivation is shifting because it's sitting there. So they wasn't motivated when they first put it on. And now, because I'm not selling it, their motivation's shifting. So, and guess who's the first person they think of is you, because you've touched base with them as it happens. So this is why you should inbound 5 to 10 deals per week, because by the time you get to week 12, most of them will be sold. So you'll have maybe 0 to 1 left. So if you inbound them every single week, because you don't want to put it to luck to try and get a good deal, because sometimes you get a deal in week 1 or 2, but don't leave that to luck. So if you want to get good deals for yourself, what you have to do is look at 5 to 10 deals per week. Don't pay somebody like I did to view them. Just look at them, analyze them online. And then what you do is you say, I'm going to offer on this subject to it being seen. Like, this is not an offer, but if I was to offer this much money for it, would you accept it? I know I need to see it, but would you accept it? And then you get an indication, yeah, I would accept it. At that point, you then send the builder out with your list of what you've got off a line. And then you say, okay, it is what you thought it was online. Yes, we'll move forward with it. The builder's viewed it now. And you've not paid the builder off viewing properties that you've not even had an offer accepted on, or you'd never buy it. And if you don't, if it's not what it's sent online, you've got a leverage point to say what it was, because you say to them, look, as long as it looks like it is online, I'm going to send the builder out and this offer stands. So then if it's worse, when the builder goes, you've got a justified reason to pull out without breaking relationships down. So I say to people, start by doing that. Whether you've got capital or not yourself, you need to build that pipeline. And then the reality is, even if you've got capital or not, when you build that pipeline, deals will come through that you either don't suit you or you can't fund yourself. So then if you co-source with somebody else, they'll sell them for you. So you partner with somebody else, say to them, hey, look, if this one's not suitable to me, I don't want to go online, get investors, blah, blah. Do you want to sell it for me? And again, loads of people try to jump into this so quick. I say to people, look, how you co-source with somebody is build a relationship with them first. If you've got an online profile, somebody the other day said to me in line, do you want to co-source? Probably, but no, not with you. You've got no online profile. I don't know who you are. Like, my time's valuable to me. I've not got a week to figure out you're unmotivated or you don't do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, of course.
And there's nothing on your profile that tells me that what you are. You might be the greatest, but I can't risk. I'd rather gamble losing a great person than risk my time figuring out if you're good or not. Because majority of people, when all is said and done, more is said and done, they don't do what they say they're going to do.
Absolutely.
So what I teach people is engage with them. Share their posts, engage on their posts, and then when you find a deal, analyze it correctly, DM them and say, I found a deal, have it for free. Just be patient. You can't sell it anyway. And if you've got no money yourself anyway, just say to them, try and sell it. You've done it with the agent where you said, yeah, would you potentially take this much money for it? You say, look, they would take this much money for it. Can you find an investor? I can't find one. I don't want anything from it. I just want to build a relationship with you. The person, if he can sell deals, will say yes. And then you say, all I'm asking is to sit on your shoulder so I can document it online, so I can see how you refurb it. Then you'll get vicarious skills. You'll get trained for free. All you've got to do is learn how to analyze it correctly and learn how to do the refurbishment numbers. Then you give it to them. You sit on their shoulder. You document it online. You do that 2 or 3 times. You'll start attracting your own investment, either private capital or investors to sell the deals to yourself. Yeah. And then the second time you do it, that guy will give you a commission, definitely, because you've proven yourself that you're worthy of what you do.
It's kind of like the Gary V jab hook.
It's exactly that.
Yeah. Give.
Absolutely.
Then you get something back.
That was a concept that really sunk with me when I understood this. And what you want to do is create active income. So if you want to be into property, you've got to look at properties to build a good if you want to buy a market value stuff or luck out buying the odd deal here and there, fine, don't look at 5 to 10 deals per week. But if you want to build a solid portfolio, you have to do this anyway. So if you partner with somebody else, it's extra income for no major extra effort apart from sending it over to them and letting them take over it. They deal with the solicitors, everything afterwards. So I advise everybody to start off as a side hustle deal sourcer if you want to build a portfolio. Look at 5 to 10 deals per week. Every time you've got capital to buy your own one, pick the one out, and all the rest of them you sell on to the other guy, kind of thing. And then if you've got the tenacity and you want to upgrade your income, then start being a full-time deal sourcer. That's what I done. We was doing, as I said, 2 or 3 deals a month, and the money from that was funding my deals and attracting more private investment because I was documenting it on social media.
Yeah, and you definitely would recommend, obviously, JVs, like joint ventures.
Yes and no. Yes, as you get a bit further in, a bit more skilled. But the thing with a JV, it's like you've got to learn how to pick the right partners, and it's like a girlfriend. Like you go to a bar, or it's not a bar nowadays, is it? You go on Tinder or whatever, it is, and you pick someone. You think, oh, they look great. They look like marriage material. She's hot. She's great. You go for one date. You think they're great. 6 months later, you realise, oh, you're a bit of an idiot, And it's the same with a JV. Unless you know them really well, you don't know if you want to get in a long-term relationship with them. Like I raised millions in JV finance, and every JV partner I had, all of them, I'm buying one out of them. I bought most of them out in the end because even though we knew each other a bit, you don't realise what it's going to be like when you get a bad tenant or when the rates go up. And even though you tell them this stuff, so I encourage JVs, but make sure you get the right JV partner because you're going to be in that game with them for a long period of time if you want to hold. If you're going to do JVs at the start, do it more on flips and stuff like that because then you'll get to know each other on a short-term thing and see how you operate with each other, and then
there's a route out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exit strategy. Exit strategy. Yeah. I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Very useful. I think, really useful session it was. And I think, you've dropped a lot of gems for people. In particular, you know.
We'll love to have a part 2 if there's
we'll
possible.
Love it. We'll love it,
Yeah,
but definitely been a pleasure. You obviously coming onto our pods. Fully insightful, dropped a lot of gems with us today. And where can people find you?
Main play, if you want to engage with me, Instagram, that's where I'm most active, but I'm on pretty much all the platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, so just HarveyGrowthProperties anywhere. Yeah,
definitely been a pleasure.
Look, absolute pleasure.
Thank you guys, it's been an absolute pleasure from you. Listen, keep what you're doing. I've seen your podcasts of what you're doing, so massive respect what you're doing. And it's been a really good interview today.
Appreciate that.
No, really appreciate you. So to the next time, guys.
To the next time, top tier.
Top tier, baby. Top tier.
Appreciate you, thanks.